What is up, everyone? Matt back for another Who Are They Real Review. And today I'm here to talk to you about the latest film from director Zach Braff. That's right, director Zach Braff. And that is none other than A Good Person. It stars Florence Pugh and Morgan Freeman. And we're here to talk about it. So without further ado, let's get things going. First off, I want to say this movie is gonna tug at your heartstrings. That's just the kind of movie it is. It's about a woman who is involved in the death of her soon-to-be sister-in-law and her husband. So that causes her to go through somewhat of an emotional spiral that she uses as a crutch after recovering physically, and she becomes an addict. But she's not the only person affected by this. The man who would have been her father-in-law is affected by this, and that's where Morgan Freeman comes in, and he helps her, or I shouldn't say he helps her. They try to help each other get over the loss of his daughter, and just reconcile with one another over what happened. She lost her fiance because she just broke up with him because she couldn't handle the emotional pain. She was numb. She was starting to get addicted to drugs, granted legally because she did it legally, because she was on opioids, and ultimately those are some of the most addictive prescribed drugs, and she became very dependent on them. So this film is essentially about their journey together. He's a recovering alcoholic. She's a opioid head, and just how they try to help each other, how they get involved in one another's life by just pure happenstance. And it's just a really interesting journey because the performances are top notch. I feel like people say this, including myself, anytime Florence Pugh has a new film come out, but this is one of her best performances, if not her best to date, because we're able to see that more dramatic, nuanced part of Florence Pugh that, yeah, I've enjoyed the Marvel stuff, but it's nowhere near what she's capable of doing when it comes to just dramas. And that's what this is. It's a dramedy. There are a lot of funny and heartwarming moments, but ultimately, when you're talking about the fact that it deals with a recovering drug addict and a recovering alcoholic, you see their demons, you see how they handle things, you see the lengths that they go to just prevent themselves from giving into their vices, or what causes them to actually give into their vices, and the mental effect it has on them. And that was really interesting. And Morgan Freeman does a great job as her foil, the man who lost his daughter and son-in-law, and is now trying to be a better person because he's a man of God to a certain extent, and he feels that this is God's way of testing him and seeing if he can actually move past this and help this woman, because that is what his daughter would want. And granted, because of his daughter's death, he's now raising his granddaughter, which adds another layer to this, because once they start commingling, his granddaughter now has to come face to face with the woman who was partially responsible for her parents' death, and how that relationship comes to be, and how his relationship with his son is, and what his son is now going through now that his ex-fiance is back in his life to an extent because of the relationship she begins to form with his father and his niece. So there's a lot to unpack there. It's a lot of emotional baggage. And Zach Braff does a great job of telling a story that works for the most part. There's a couple things set up that just completely get ignored, but at the same time, I understand why, because it's a matter of, you agreed to this, but we're talking about a teenage girl and a woman who's recovering from her opioid addiction. So, of course, but at the same time, the characters try to do right by one another, and that's something that's really cool. And Zach, who wrote and directed this film, does a great job of providing what feels like a genuine human connection between the two, and makes you realize what a good person really is because of who they are willing to forgive or just try to help through it, even though that person may have wronged you in the past. And that's really something cool and interesting, especially given what society is like nowadays. So if I'm having to rate a good person, it's a 4 out of 5. Um, the performances carry this. Like, there is not a bad performance in this film. Florence is just a tour de force, as should be expected now, but at this point when it comes to her, and I can't wait to see it again. My fiance after the screening was like, "Hey, can we see this again when it comes out?" And I was like, "Yeah," because it's, while it is sad, it's still got feel good elements to it, and it really just gets the tear ducts working. But I want to know what you guys think. Are you going to go check it out? It is called A Good Person with Morgan Freeman and Florence Pugh. Be sure to check it out. It's expanding in theaters this Friday or tomorrow, depending on when you're watching this. But just let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe to everything we do over here at What Real Entertainment. I had a review drop yesterday for John Wick Chapter 4. Be sure to go check that out because, wow, I had some thoughts on that. But also be sure to check out all the other things we do over here, whether it's Biscuits and Believing, Watt Gaming, which is our Twitch VOD channel. So if you didn't catch our Twitch live streams, be sure to go check that out. And then also this Sunday, the HBOs are back after a 1 week hiatus. It'll be me, Jeff, and a special guest. Paige is not going to be able to make it, unfortunately, but we're going to be talking about Succession. It's the final season premiere. I'm caught up. I'm ready. And yeah, I'm ready to talk about the Roy's, Waystar, Royco, and all that. So until then, signing off, I'm Matt, and this was another Real Review.